The project comprises design and construction of a multi-user cable-stayed bridge for vehicles, cycles and pedestrians. Design and construction of the structures for the North and South Bridge approaches. And construction of new highways to provide pedestrian, cycle and vehicle access to the existing street network. Based on the Sunderland City Council's primary design, FCC has developed, along with the design joint venture formed by Arup and FECOR, a new final design with the following main requirements. A-framed cable-stayed bridge with steel towers in the order of 110 meters high. Span of 336 meters between abutments. Bridge deck comprising a 1.8 meter central reserve, a dual 7.3 meter carriageway, and a 3.5 meter wide cycle/footway. The works will be split into highway works and bridge works, with the bridge works broken down into in-river works and approach structures. The main highway works include a new urban all-purpose dual carriageway 1.5 kilometers long linking the A1231 Wessington Way on the north side of the River Wear with European Way and New Pallion Road on the south side. An urban single two-lane carriageway 750 meters long between the southern end of the new bridge and European Way, Western Link, including the new Western Roundabout. The highway works comprise the necessary earthworks to achieve design levels, the construction of several retaining walls and all associated groundworks, the road paving, and include the realignment of existing roads, drainage, traffic signs and landscaping. Concerning the approach structures, a new underbridge will be built on the north bank for the Riverside North Link to pass under the northern approach to the bridge. This structure is Hilton Park Road Underbridge. On the other side of the river, the south abutment will incorporate the Crown East and West retaining walls to maximize the available land on the adjacent site. The final design of the cable-stayed bridge incorporates an A-shaped pylon 110 meters high without crossbeam at deck level. The cross-section of its legs has two curved surfaces and a flat one, achieving an elegant and distinctive aesthetic. Structurally, the deck has a ladder construction which is simple and effective. Two longitudinal beams will connect a number of transversal beams. The deck will be cast in place using precast slabs held by the ladder deck. The cross-section of the deck includes an H2 containment class parapet and lighting columns installed out of it so they don't constrain the space reserved for pedestrians and cycles. These columns will provide regular road lighting, while an additional architectural lighting system will be installed to enhance the pylon and the stay cables, providing an impressive night view of the bridge. It's important to note that in-depth environmental studies have been developed to minimize the impact of the works in the river and the whole affected surrounding area. The construction sequence of the bridge is divided in 9 main stages. The first task is to install the piled pylon foundations in the river. This piling will be executed using a bored piling rig working from a barge. The piles will have an outer steel sleeve to allow concrete to be poured in place without risk of leakage into the River Wear. After piling, a sealed coffer dam will be built using sheet piles. The sheet piles will be installed using a vibrating hammer that will drive them to the required depth from the barge. While driving the sheet piles, a temporary bridge will be installed to access the coffer dam from the south bank. The temporary bridge, or jetty, will rest on circular steel provisional piles and will be capable of holding low to medium loads such as concrete mixers, excavators, rebar and stay delivery trucks. Once the sheet piles are in place, material within the cofferdam will be excavated via plant located on the jetty and barge. A concrete slab will be cast in the home of the cofferdam and anchored to the bored piles. This slab will work as a sealing cap so that any water ingress inside the cofferdam can be pumped out. After dewatering the cofferdam, a pile cap will be cast in place working in dry conditions. This pile cap, as well as supporting the pylon, will also support the self-climbing tower crane which will operate throughout the entire construction process. FCC will work closely with the local supply chain to develop a commercial strategy that benefits the whole Sunderland community. As part of this strategy, FCC will provide steel workshop facilities, collaborating with Pylon Engineering Limited. The main dry dock at Pylon shipyards will contain a steel workshop with appropriate conditions for steel fabrication. The facility will be weatherproof to mitigate against adverse weather conditions, so work can continue to uninterruptedly store segments of the pylon and deck. The pylon will be fabricated in the Pylon shipyard workshop. 2 gantry cranes capable of loading the largest pylon segments will load segments onto a delivery barge. Once the segments are at the cofferdam site, the tower crane will load the segments and raise them to their final position. The lower segments of the pylon leg opposite to the tower crane will be installed with the help of a crawler crane working from the jetty to avoid critical path working conditions for the tower crane. Workers' access to the pylon will be done via site elevators. The joints between segments will be bolted together with the necessary accuracy to maintain the seamless alignment along the full height. Once the pylon has been completely erected, the first segment of the deck, segment 0, can be installed. This is a critical stage of the overall construction sequence, as this segment is placed with no auxiliary stay cables for support. An auxiliary structure will therefore be placed to hold the weight of segment 0. After installation of segment 0, the cantilever deck construction can begin. The process comprises the installation of consecutive segments at each side of the pylon so that forces are balanced for each new segment placing. The segments will be fabricated in Pylon shipyard and delivered by barge, similar to the pylon segment delivery process. The segments are placed under their final deck position, and a pair of heavy lifting strand jacks will lift them from the barge to deck level. The final connection work is undertaken while the jacks hold the segment in place. Stay cables are then installed with the help of the tower crane prior to releasing the jacks. Once the entire ladder deck is held by the tension stay cables, precast slabs and in-situ concrete will be installed to complete the deck. There are sections of the river weir where insufficient water depth prevents the use of a barge to erect the deck segments. In these situations, the deck segments will be installed using a large crawler crane located on the abutments. The crane will install the longitudinal beams and main transversal beams. Cables will then be connected to transfer the main loads into the pylon. Following this, secondary transversal beams will be delivered and installed by the crawler crane so that precast slabs can be installed to complete the deck installation process. The approximate duration of the works will be 30 months from starting date. As the river bridge will determine the critical path of the works, its foundations will start right after ground investigations and bridge detailed design have been completed. The construction group formed by FCC along with design team Arup and Fekor has wide experience in designing and constructing bridges of differing spans and typologies all over the world. FCC is building at present the Mersey Gateway project, which includes a 3-pylon cable-stayed bridge. The group has developed a social and local economy plan to maximize the positive impact of the works in Sunderland, creating new jobs, apprenticeships and local supply chain. The ultimate product delivered will be a solid and durable project totally integrated in the environment and local society. FCC, with the input from Arup and FECOR, will construct for Sunderland City Council a beautiful and unique bridge that will become a landmark for Sunderland.